They arrive in silence, without warning, without mercy. Worlds tremble when the black ships emerge from the void. There is no welcome for them, only dread. Children are hidden behind locked doors. Prayers rise in frantic whispers, and still the black ships descend. They come not for conquest or glory, but for something far more terrible. The harvest of human souls, born with the curse of psychic power. This is the nightmare at the heart of the Imperium of man. And it is a nightmare that no glossy television adaptation will ever dare to show in full. The Imperium spans 1,000,000 worlds, and yet every world knows the same fear. A psychic child, a young adult awakening to strange powers, even a respected elder suddenly manifesting a flicker of psychic talent. All of them are marked for the Emperor's tithe. The Adeptus Astra Telepathica demands its due, and the black ships answer the call. They are immense and silent, painted the color of night, carrying with them the authority of the Inquisition and the Sisters of Silence. Their mission is not noble. It is not heroic. It is the systematic removal of all who might one day threaten the Imperium with uncontrolled psychic power. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is no mercy for the gifted. Each planet is required to surrender its Psykers. They are gathered like cattle and herded aboard the black ships. Mothers weep, fathers rage, but resistance is useless. The Inquisition does not bargain. It does not explain. The black ships are the second largest fleet in all the Imperium, a vast and endless armada capable of appearing anywhere, anytime. To the common citizen, they are the shadow of death given form. No world can escape their reach. Once inside, the truth becomes even darker. The Psykers are kept in enormous lightless holds. The air is thick with sedatives and psychic dampers that choke their minds. Dim, strobing lights flicker in endless patterns to disrupt concentration. Food and water are laced with chemicals that dull the will. Devices called occluding spheres suppress every flicker of psychic ability. Every captive feels the despair of thousands of other tortured minds screaming in silent agony, a psychic cacophony that erodes hope and identity. The black ships are prisons, laboratories, and slaughterhouses all in one. And yet this is a reality no television camera will linger on for long. The Inquisition's hand is everywhere aboard these vessels. Officially, the black ships belong to the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, but in truth the Ordo Hereticus and the Ordo Malleus watch every move, weighing every captive as a threat or a potential tool. Inquisitors do not come as saviors. They come as executioners and harvesters. They decide who lives long enough to be sanctioned and who is too dangerous to exist. Yet any mainstream series will be tempted to paint them as reluctant protectors, complex anti-heroes, rather than the cold instruments of imperial survival they truly are. The fate awaiting most of the Psykers is the cruelest truth of all. Only a fraction will ever become sanctioned Psykers, trained to serve the Imperium in roles as astropaths, battle Psykers, or imperial advisors. The vast majority are condemned to die. They will never see the Emperor's light, except in their final moments, when their life force is fed into the Astronomicon, the great psychic beacon that allows humanity's fleets to navigate the warp. It is a death without honor, without remembrance, a necessary sacrifice demanded by an empire that sees individuals as mere fuel for its survival. This is not a story of redemption. It is a story of cold arithmetic, and yet there is another layer of horror. The Sisters of Silence. They are the ship's enforcers, women born with the pariah gene. that renders them utterly invisible to psychic perception. They are the Emperor's hunters, immune to witchcraft and fear alike. To a Psyker, their presence is unbearable, a dead void in the warp that gnaws at the mind. Alongside them are the Nulls, men and women equally bereft of psychic presence, equally feared and reviled. These pariahs are vital to maintaining control, for even the most drugged and shackled Psyker might unleash devastation without their silent wardens. Their existence is a reminder that the Imperium fights terror with terror, erasing the humanity of both captive and captor. A television script will almost certainly reduce them to exotic bodyguards or mysterious warriors, stripping away the existential dread that defines them. The politics of the Black Ships are as labyrinthine as the vessels themselves. The Inquisition, the Astra Telepathica, the Imperial Navy, the Ecclesiarchy, each claims a measure of authority. Each hides layers of secret purpose, but television thrives on clarity and heroic conflict. The temptation will be to simplify, to present a single villain or a single noble faction, to compress a galaxy's worth of bureaucracy and betrayal into a neat storyline. The slow, grinding machinery of Imperial law will be lost, replaced by tidy plots and sympathetic rebels. The truth is far colder. The Black Ships are not driven by personal vendetta or individual ambition. They are the inevitable outcome of a system that values survival above all else. Even the visual reality of these ships will likely be softened to depict the endless screaming of psychic minds, the crackle of warp energy, the oppressive stench of fear would demand a budget and a willingness to confront horror that few studios possess. It is far easier to show a single frightened prisoner, a single dark corridor, than to convey the planetary scale of suffering packed into these colossal holds. The psychic tempest will become background noise, an occasional flicker of special effects, when, in truth, it should be the very atmosphere of the story. And perhaps most of all, the mainstream audience will recoil from the truth of children taken and sacrificed. In the lore, age offers no protection. A toddler who accidentally sets a toy aflame with a stray thought is as doomed as the adult whose visions reach across the stars. Families hide their young, but hiding is futile. The Black Ships always find their prey. To portray this honestly would require showing the terror of parents forced to surrender their own children to a fate worse than death. It would require confronting the cruelty of an empire that destroys innocence to preserve itself. That is a cruelty most streaming services will choose to imply, not display. Imagine a world as the Black Ship arrives. Sirens wail across the hive cities. The governor's palace dispatches troops to round up the tithe. Priests chant prayers to the Emperor, even as they drag screaming captives to the docks. A mother clutches her son, knowing she will never see him again, while the inquisitorial escort watches without expression. The boarding ramps descend like the jaws of some colossal beast. Chains rattle, voices cry out, and then silence as the doors seal. The ship rises, black against the stars, leaving only grief and a faint psychic echo of countless minds in torment. That is the reality. That is the nightmare. Amazon will likely give us something else. A handful of brooding characters, a ship that is more set piece than terror, a story of personal redemption rather than systemic horror. They may offer us heroes who fight to free the Psykers, villains who can be overthrown, and victories that feel satisfying. But the Black Ships are not meant to satisfy. They are meant to unsettle, to embody the grim truth of a galaxy. where survival demands sacrifice and innocence is no shield. The Imperium does not care about our comfort. It does not care about morality as we understand it. It cares only that the Astronomicon burns bright and the Emperor endures. Every Psyker taken, every life extinguished, every scream lost in the warp is part of the price of survival. That is why the black ships exist. That is what any honest telling must reveal. When the series arrives, remember this. Remember that the true story of the black ships is not about daring rescues or hidden compassion. It is about an empire so vast and cold that it grinds its own people into fuel. It is about a fear that spans the stars, a fear that no screen can fully capture. And when you watch the sanitized version, if you choose to watch at all, listen for the silence between the scenes. In that silence, you may hear the distant echo of the black ships, forever searching, forever harvesting, forever unseen.